Why would the greatest superpower in the world, America, side with Pakistan over India in 2025? What happened to democracy, to diplomacy, to logic? This question is bigger than politics. It's about perception. It's about positioning. And it's a powerful lesson for every nation, every leader, and every individual. America's foreign policy decisions have always been rooted in a single guiding principle: strategic self-interest. The idea that nations act based on long-standing friendships or moral alliances is a comforting illusion, but it's not how the global game is played. In 2025, the question of why America appears to be siding with Pakistan over India isn't really about values, democracy, or loyalty. It's about leverage. It's about timing. It's about who can offer the greatest utility at the right moment. In global politics, countries don't have permanent friends or enemies. They have permanent interests. This reality might seem cold, even disloyal, to the average person who is raised to value friendship, consistency, and trust. But international relations don't operate by the rules of friendship. They operate by the laws of survival, dominance, and influence. Every nation is in pursuit of its own objectives, and every alliance is only as strong as its relevance to those objectives. Take a closer look at the context. Over the past few years, America has been recalibrating its focus. The war in Afghanistan ended. China has risen as a global rival. Russia's assertiveness has reshaped European dynamics. In this environment, South Asia becomes a key zone, not just for ideological battles, but for practical ones. Trade routes, military positioning, regional stability, and counterterrorism. And in this high-stakes chessboard, Pakistan has learned how to play its hand with precision. Despite being economically weaker and politically unstable compared to India, Pakistan offers strategic value that India doesn't. Its geography places it adjacent to Iran, Afghanistan, and Western China, a perfect location for intelligence operations, supply chains, and military observation. Its long-standing relationship with the Taliban and influence within Afghanistan, however controversial, makes it a valuable link to a region that remains volatile and unpredictable. America, always searching for strategic footholds, cannot afford to ignore that. Now contrast that with India. India is a democratic powerhouse, a rising economic and technological force, and a key partner in long-term global stability. But in 2025, America's alignment with India is already established. It's known, it's expected. And sometimes, ironically, the strength of that alliance makes India less of a priority in the short-term game. When one partner is stable and self-reliant, the urgent focus often shifts to the volatile partner that requires more immediate attention or offers more tactical leverage. This is where the motivational lesson lies, not just for nations, but for individuals. How often in life do we assume that loyalty guarantees opportunity? How often do we expect our hard work, our consistency, our excellence to automatically result in recognition and reward? But the world doesn't work that way. Not in politics, not in business, not in relationships. People, like nations, respond to what serves their current goals. You may be brilliant, but if you're not helping someone achieve what they need now, your brilliance gets overshadowed by someone else's timely usefulness. That's what Pakistan is leveraging in 2025, timing and necessity. And it's a powerful reminder that in life, being good isn't enough. You must be relevant, you must be strategically positioned. India's long-term value is immense, but short-term decisions often depend on who fills the immediate gap. In diplomacy, urgency often outweighs integrity. In war rooms and boardrooms, what matters most is who solves the current problem. It's not about who you've known longer. It's about who can deliver results today. This may sound harsh, but it's empowering once you understand it, because it means the game is not locked. It means anyone, any person, any country, any organization can rise if they learn to position themselves properly. It's not just about being right. It's about being useful, being available, being strategic. When you look at America's foreign policy decisions through this lens, the illusion of betrayal fades. You stop asking, why did they pick Pakistan? And start asking, what did Pakistan do right in this moment? That question is filled with lessons. Did they lobby better? Did they offer more logistical support? Did they fill a vacuum that India was too proud or too slow to occupy? It isn't about morality, it's about motion. In the ever-shifting theater of global power, motion beats history, agility beats reputation, and adaptability beats entitlement. The mistake many make, individuals and nations alike, is assuming that past effort guarantees future attention. But it doesn't. You can do everything right for 10 years and still be ignored if someone else shows up with what the world needs now. It's a tough truth, but it's also a liberating one, because it means that success isn't about waiting to be chosen. It's about choosing how to show up. America siding with Pakistan isn't a betrayal of India, it's a reflection of this core principle. Nations don't have friends, they have interests. And people, too, must learn to move through the world not just hoping for loyalty, but earning leverage, providing value, and seizing opportunity. In a world that moves at the speed of perception, it's not enough to be capable. It's not enough to be powerful. And it's definitely not enough to be morally upright. What truly matters in today's world, whether you're a nation or an individual, is how visible you are. Visibility beats ability when ability remains silent. In 2025, as questions rise about why America appears to be siding with Pakistan over India, the answer isn't rooted only in geopolitics. It's rooted in this deeper principle. Presence is power. India is a giant. Economically, it is one of the fastest growing countries in the world. Technologically, it leads in software, space, AI, and digital infrastructure. Politically, it is the world's largest democracy. And militarily, it's strong, resilient, and disciplined. On almost every metric that matters long-term, India is ahead of Pakistan. So why does it sometimes seem like America leans toward Pakistan in moments that count? The answer lies in the art of self-promotion. The ability to be seen, heard, and positioned as indispensable. Pakistan, despite being economically fragile and politically turbulent, knows how to make itself matter in critical geopolitical conversations. It leverages its geography, its military ties, and its historical involvement in regional conflicts to remain part of the strategic dialogue. It actively broadcasts its value to the West. You need us, you can't ignore us, whether through military cooperation, intelligence sharing, or diplomatic influence in the Middle East. Pakistan keeps itself in the frame, constantly reminding global powers of its relevance. It knows that in a world flooded with noise, the loudest signal gets the attention, even if it's not the strongest one. India, on the other hand, has often taken a more reserved, principled approach. It doesn't always fight for the spotlight. It assumes its greatness will speak for itself. It believes that its consistent growth, its global contributions, and its moral clarity will naturally attract the right alliances and the respect it deserves. But this is where the disconnect happens. Because in today's global theater, silence is mistaken for weakness, and humility is often invisible. This truth doesn't just apply to countries, it applies to people. How often do you see someone less talented, less hard-working, and less experienced get the promotion you deserved? How often have you watched someone who knows how to talk, how to sell, how to promote, climb faster than those who actually deliver real value? It's not fair, but it's real. And once you understand this reality, you stop blaming the system and start learning how to move inside it with intention. You can be the best at what you do, but if no one knows it, if no one hears your voice, sees your impact, or feels your influence, then you don't exist in the decision-maker's mind. Pakistan understood this. It may not have India's strength, but it understands the importance of being perceived as essential. It knows how to be loud at the right moments, how to show up in rooms that matter, and how to keep itself relevant to power brokers like the United States. India doesn't need to imitate this strategy entirely, but it must learn from it. Because relevance isn't about making noise for the sake of it. Relevance is about controlling your narrative. It's about being clear on what you bring to the table and making sure the world sees it. When a country like India remains too quiet on issues that matter globally, when it underplays its own geopolitical value, it risks being overlooked, not because it lacks value, but because it hasn't marketed that value well enough. And again, this translates directly into the life of the everyday person. If you're building something, working hard, pushing through failure and adversity, but you're not speaking about your journey, no one will come looking for your story. You can be brilliant in private, but the world rewards those who show up in public. That doesn't mean being arrogant. It means being strategic. It means sharing your progress. It means building influence intentionally, not accidentally. And in 2025, America isn't necessarily betraying India by working with Pakistan. It's simply responding to visibility. It's responding to who is most present in the conversations that matter. Nations act on what they can see and feel. So do people. That's why perception is not a side issue, it's the main one. And this is where India and all of us have a critical choice. Either assume people will recognize our value automatically, or take control of our narrative and become unignorable. The lesson is simple but powerful. Don't hide your greatness. Don't wait for others to notice you. Don't assume that talent will speak for itself in a world that's busy listening to the loudest voice in the room. Make yourself visible. Make your contributions known. Make your presence so strong, so undeniable, that no one can leave you out of the conversation. Because in this world, whether in geopolitics or in life, it's not just the most capable who win. It's the ones who are seen. And in the long run, the combination of visibility and value becomes unstoppable. In international politics, as in life, support often flows not toward the strongest, but toward the one who appears to need it the most, or the one who makes others believe their support is critical. This is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in geopolitics. When people see America seemingly siding with Pakistan over India in 2025, they interpret it as favoritism, bias, or even betrayal. But that's a shallow view. The deeper truth is this. Weakness attracts support, while strength demands respect. And respect is quiet, even isolating. India stands tall on the world stage. It is the world's most populous democracy, an economic juggernaut, a leader in technology and innovation, and a powerful military force. It's not a country that needs hand-holding or validation. In fact, its strength allows it to operate independently, assertively, and with dignity. But that very strength can lead others, especially powerful allies like America, to shift their immediate attention elsewhere. Pakistan, on the other hand, exists in a much more precarious position. It struggles economically, faces internal political instability, and remains entangled in regional tensions. Yet, despite all this, or perhaps because of it, Pakistan receives more immediate attention, more military aid, and more diplomatic engagement from the United States. Why? Because it has mastered the role of the indispensable partner in times of crisis. It plays the part of the vulnerable yet necessary player on the global chessboard. And this appearance of weakness or urgent necessity triggers support, funding, negotiation, and alliance building. This isn't because Pakistan is more important than India. It's because America, like all nations, prioritizes the management of immediate risks over nurturing long-term relationships. When something is stable and strong, it doesn't require babysitting. It doesn't require reassurance. So America looks at India and sees strength, self-reliance, and long-term alignment. There's no panic, no urgency. But when America looks at Pakistan, it sees volatility and opportunity, often wrapped together. It sees the potential for both problems and leverage. And that makes Pakistan a short-term strategic partner. This is where the motivational core of the issue emerges. You might be the strongest person in your environment. You might be calm, collected, disciplined, and consistent. And yet you might find yourself being overlooked, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your strength has made you invisible. People assume you don't need help. They assume you're not going to break. They assume you're not going to break. And because of that, they reserve their attention for those who seem unstable, unpredictable, or desperate. It's the same reason the loudest employee in a company often gets more recognition than the quiet genius in the corner. It's why the person constantly seeking validation tends to receive more praise, while the stoic, self-sufficient one is respected silently, but rarely celebrated publicly. Support flows toward noise. Respect, on the other hand, is often quiet and distant. And in this world, many people confuse attention with favor. India in 2025 is respected. That respect is deep. It's grounded in decades of progress, partnerships, and principles. But that same respect means America isn't rushing to manage or intervene in India's affairs. It assumes India will act responsibly, rise to the occasion, and continue to play the long game. With Pakistan, the story is different. America can step in and shape outcomes. There's more room for influence, more room for manipulation, more room for short-term gains. Now apply this to your own life. If you're strong, don't expect applause. If you're independent, don't expect help. If you're stable, don't expect urgency. People are drawn to those who demand attention, whether through crisis, chaos, or charisma. But when you stand tall and walk alone, the world tends to watch from a distance, assuming you don't need anything or anyone. So what do? Do you pretend to be weak to attract support? Do you become loud and needy to stay relevant? No. India's role in the world isn't to beg for attention. Its role is to continue becoming a pillar of global stability, a force that is too essential to ignore in the long run. And if you're on the same path in your own journey, building quietly, growing steadily, standing strong, then remember this. You may not be the center of attention now, but you are building something attention can buy. Undeniable credibility. America may side with Pakistan in certain moments, but those are often moments of weakness, not strength. And while the world rushes to manage crises, the strong keep moving forward, slowly, powerfully, and unshaken. That's the India of 2025, and that can be you too. In today's hyper-connected world, power is no longer just about military might or economic strength. It's about who can shape the story, who can control the narrative, who can make the world see their version of reality as the reality. When we ask why America is siding with Pakistan over India in 2025, we're often missing the deeper truth. It's not just about what's true, it's about what's told. Pakistan has mastered the art of shaping its global narrative. India, despite its enormous strengths, has often let its story go untold. Pakistan presents itself as a frontline state, strategically vital to the West, particularly to the United States. It emphasizes its geographic proximity to Afghanistan, its role in counter-terrorism efforts, and its military cooperation with the West. It may not be the strongest economy or the most stable democracy, but it continues to be relevant by controlling how others perceive its role. That relevance comes from the narrative it pushes. We are the key to stabilizing South Asia. We are the gateway to managing extremist threats. We are the indispensable partner you can't afford to ignore. America responds to that kind of messaging. In a world driven by headlines, intelligence briefings, and constant political noise, perception often takes precedence over quiet competence. When Pakistan says, "We are your last line of defense in this region," and when it reinforces that through media, diplomatic channels, and military negotiations, it keeps itself at the table, whether or not it's the most capable player. India, by contrast, has taken a more passive, long-term approach. It allows its economic data, its population growth, its democracy, and its technological advancement to speak for themselves. But in the geopolitical arena, silence is not a strategy. Being right is not enough. You have to be heard, you have to be seen, you have to make sure your contributions are not only known, but felt by the global powers you wish to influence. That's why narrative is everything. If you don't control your story, someone else will write it for you. And in 2025, Pakistan is writing its story every day, while India too often trusts the world to figure it out on its own. But that's not how power works. Power moves toward the voice that speaks with clarity and purpose, not the one that waits to be recognized. This principle applies to life at every level. How many talented people stay in the shadows, hoping their work will speak for itself? How many creators, entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals let their brilliance go unnoticed because they're too humble to promote themselves? Meanwhile, others, often less skilled but more vocal, rise to prominence because they've mastered one crucial skill, the art of telling their story. And make no mistake, storytelling is not about lying or exaggerating. It's about highlighting the truth in a way that moves people to care. Pakistan has highlighted its strategic vulnerabilities in a way that demands attention. It has made itself the subject of every regional conversation. India has often stayed silent, even when attacked diplomatically or misrepresented in global fora. That silence may reflect strength and dignity, but it also allows misinformation to spread and lets others control how India is perceived. This is not just a matter of public relations, it's a matter of power. The nation that controls the narrative controls the alliance. The same goes for individuals. The person who knows how to articulate their value becomes essential, even if others are more qualified. You can do all the work, but if you don't share the story of that work, someone else will get the credit, the opportunity, and the influence. In 2025, India is seen as reliable, stable, and forward-thinking. But those qualities don't always get held. Pakistan, with its ongoing instabilities, becomes the focus of concern and intervention. It's not that instability is rewarded, but rather that it commands attention. And in politics, attention leads to leverage. So what can we learn from this? First, understand that narrative is not optional. Whether you're a country, a company, or a person, you need to control how others perceive you. Not by pretending to be something you're not, but by consistently communicating who you are and why you matter. Second, realize that silence creates a vacuum, and that vacuum will be filled by someone else's version of your story. If India doesn't speak up about its role in the global order, others will define it through their own lens, sometimes as a threat, sometimes as irrelevant, and often as simply the other player, in the shadow of China or Pakistan. Third, commit to becoming the narrator of your own life. Don't wait for someone to discover your value. Speak it, show it, share it, because in today's world, value alone isn't enough. Visibility gives it power. Pakistan's grip on the narrative has kept it on the global radar despite its internal challenges. India's strength is undeniable, but its voice needs to match its power. And you, no matter what you build, need to make sure the world doesn't just watch your journey in silence. Make sure they know who you are, what you stand for, and why you're impossible to ignore. The balance of global power has never been just about alliances. It's about leverage. It's about positioning. It's about knowing what others need from you and making them believe they can't move without your cooperation. In 2025, when people ask why America seems to be siding with Pakistan over India, the answer lies not just in history or diplomacy, but in one cold strategic truth. Pakistan has made itself indispensable to American military interests. That single factor carries more weight in certain high-stakes decisions than long-term friendships, economic growth, or shared values. Pakistan understands this game well. For decades, it has positioned itself as a key player in regional security dynamics. Its proximity to Afghanistan, its connections with various militant groups, for better or worse, and its control over certain transit routes make it strategically valuable, especially to a country like the United States that wants to manage global conflicts without direct full-scale military involvement. When America withdrew from Afghanistan, it didn't just walk away. It shifted to a strategy of containment and influence, and for that it needs footholds. Pakistan provides one. The U.S. military and intelligence community view Pakistan not as an ideal partner, but as a necessary one. Despite its internal instability, America sees Pakistan as a country that can be influenced, pressured, or incentivized to serve tactical goals. It's a relationship of utility, not trust. Yet, in the world of geopolitics, utility often trumps loyalty. America may respect India, but it uses Pakistan. And in war games and strategy rooms, the country you can use sometimes becomes more valuable than the one you merely admire. India, on the other hand, doesn't need to be used. It's self-reliant, strong, and increasingly independent in its foreign policy. It doesn't beg for military aid. It doesn't bend to external pressure easily. It has its own worldview, its own defense strategy, and its own alliances, including growing relationships with Russia, France, and the regional powers. To the American establishment, India is a rising force, but not one that America can direct. This lack of pliability, while admirable, makes India less of a tool in America's short-term strategy. This is a powerful lesson, not just in international relations, but in life. Those who are easy to use often get more attention than those who are strong enough to stand alone. That doesn't mean you should make yourself dependent or controllable. It means you must understand how power dynamics work. Sometimes strength makes you seem distant. Independence can be mistaken for aloofness, and stability can make you invisible in a world that moves from crisis. Pakistan's volatility, its internal challenges, its links with terrorist networks, and its unstable political structure makes it a constant concern for American military planners. They want to keep Pakistan in check, influence its decisions, and ensure it doesn't spiral into deeper chaos. This keeps the spotlight on Pakistan, not because it's thriving, but because it's useful, because it can be nudged, financed, and manipulated, because it's still inside the sphere of influence. India is not easily nudged. It doesn't bend to pressure from the West the way smaller or less stable countries do. It makes decisions on its own timeline, based on its own interests. It's not reactive, it's strategic. And ironically, that strategic strength sometimes makes it less of a focus for powers like the United States, especially when short-term military goals dominate the agenda. But here's the motivation embedded in that reality. You don't exist to be used. You exist to be respected. And respect doesn't always come with attention. Respect is quiet. It's earned through consistency, strength, and integrity. Pakistan may be at the center of certain conversations today, but India is shaping the next century. And while the one who's being used will lead, clarity builds lasting impact. If you've ever wondered why others get more attention despite being less capable, remember this. Sometimes the world rewards chaos with concern and stability with silence. Don't be discouraged by that. Let it fuel you. The world doesn't always cheer for the strongest. It fixates on the ones it thinks it can control. But your job isn't to be controlled. It's to lead. America's military relationship with Pakistan is a perfect example of short-term value versus long-term trust. Pakistan is valuable because it serves certain tactical needs. India, however, represents strategic alignment, long-term partnership, and shared values in democracy, innovation, and freedom. But the latter doesn't always win the spotlight in a world obsessed with urgency. So the path forward is clear. Don't chase validation from those who are too focused on crisis management to see your worth. Keep building. Keep rising. Keep moving like India. Quietly powerful, unmistakably firm. Because the world may turn its attention toward the fire today, but tomorrow it will depend on the foundation you built in silence. In the complex theater of global politics, decisions are rarely made in isolation. Every handshake, every policy shift, every diplomatic statement is influenced by a web of unseen strings, strategic deals, defense pacts, trade interests, and political calculations. When people ask, why is America siding with Pakistan over India in 2025, they're often looking for a moral answer, a values-based explanation. But in reality, the answer lies in something far more calculated. America is protecting its own interests. That's not betrayal. That's business. That's strategy. That's survival at the highest level of statecraft. America's foreign policy is not based on emotional loyalty. It's based on what furthers American influence, security, and economic prosperity. And in this moment of history, certain deals with Pakistan, military intelligence, a regional counterbalance, serve immediate U.S. interests in ways that India's partnership, while essential, doesn't always provide in the short term. The truth is uncomfortable but clear. Nations don't have permanent friends. They have permanent interests. Pakistan understands this. It positions itself not as an ideal partner, but as a useful one. It has historically offered America strategic access to Central Asia, served as a conduit for counterterrorism efforts, and played the double-edged game of cooperating with the West while maintaining influence over groups in its border regions. These moves may lack integrity, but they provide bargaining power. America, in return, maintains ties because it sees value in the leverage that Pakistan provides in dealing with unstable regions. Meanwhile, India plays the long game. It doesn't manipulate its alliances. It doesn't play both sides. It seeks cooperation on equal terms. And paradoxically, that integrity sometimes makes it less agile in the muddy waters of realpolitik. While India offers stability, scale, and long-term alignment with Western democratic values, it doesn't offer America a platform for covert maneuvering, crisis exploitation, or short-term tactical advantage. In a world driven by immediate gains and rapid geopolitical shifts, that long-term approach often receives delayed recognition. But here's the motivational core of that truth. Doing the right thing may not earn applause today, but it builds unshakable respect tomorrow. India's foreign policy, based on sovereignty, non-alignment, and strategic autonomy, isn't always flashy. It doesn't provoke headlines, but it is respected. By allies, America may be leaning toward Pakistan in select scenarios, but in boardrooms, summits, and think tanks, India is quietly rising as a trusted global force. This is the same dynamic that plays out in every arena of life. Sometimes the people who bend the rules get ahead. The people who cut corners win quick. The people who make themselves useful to power gain temporary favor. But over time, it's the ones who remain principled, reliable, and strong that endure. They may be underestimated at first, overlooked, even ignored, but in the end, they are the ones the world turns to when it truly matters. So when you see America make deals with Pakistan that seem to contradict its democratic values, understand this. The world doesn't move based on who's right. It moves based on who's relevant to the moment. And Pakistan, with all its volatility, has made itself relevant to America's short-term military and intelligence concerns. It's not about loyalty, it's about leverage. India doesn't have to chase that kind of relevance. It's earning something greater, long-term trust. With its growing economy, technological leadership, space advancements, and diplomatic outreach, India is building relationships that don't need to be managed with manipulation. They're built on mutual benefit. That's a harder path, a slower one, but it's the path of true power. You should take this to heart, because in your own life you will often see people win through flattery, deception, or convenience. They'll get close to power by being useful, not trustworthy. They'll bend principles to please others and get rewarded in the short term. But don't be fooled. Those alliances fade. That influence withers. And when the game changes, so does their value. Instead, build the way India builds. Stand firm. Lead with integrity. Align with long-term truth, not short-term gain. You may not be everyone's first call when a crisis breaks out, but you will be the one they rely on when the dust settles. That is real power. That is enduring influence. America's deals with Pakistan in 2025 aren't a reflection of deeper friendship. They're a reflection of immediate interest. And interests change. What doesn't change is the foundation India is laying, a foundation that will make it not just a partner, but an equal on the global stage in decades to come. So don't seek favor, seek strength. Don't chase attention, chase excellence. Because in the end, power that is borrowed through deals can be taken away. But power that is built through values cannot be broken.